the All Community Council Gathering. As you all know, we do this just about every month, and it's an opportunity for folks across Missoula County's community councils to come together and compare notes and share ideas and insights. So I'm County Commissioner Dave Strohmeyer. My colleagues Juanita Vero and Josh Slotnick uh, uh, may be a little late in joining tonight, so I will kick things off here. And in just a moment, we'll get some introductory directions for everyone. But before we do, is there any public comment on items not on tonight's agenda that folks would like to share? Okay. Kyla, would you be so kind as to kick things off with some instructions for folks if you have any to share, and then we'll dive right into our agenda items.
Sure. Good evening. We'll go through the agenda and we'll have a round robin at the end. During the meeting, if you have any questions after, go ahead and reuse your raise hand function. If you're on the phone, you can press *5 to raise your hand or *6 to unmute. That's it for me.
Great. Thanks, Kyla. So before I forget it, if folks, sometimes these events are somewhat sparsely attended. So if folks want to invite others in your various community council regions to participate, there's no problem with that whatsoever. So these are not meant to be exclusive, cloistered sorts of things. So feel free to invite others to participate. So with that, Heidi West, please share with us the impact grant funding opportunity that will soon be available.
All right, well, thanks for having me this evening. So I am just here to remind people of the Rural Grant Program. So we have two different funding sources that are available to communities outside of the city of Missoula. And so we have the micro grant, which we currently do still have some funding available. Those are grants up to $500 for pretty much any kind of project that improves the quality of life in rural Missoula County. And I also just want to give people a heads up that the next round of impact grant funding will be opening in January. So the grant should go live on January 2nd, and then it will be open until the end of February. And that grant is for larger projects that take longer to complete and for projects that cost between $501 and $4,000. So I just want to put that out there so people can start thinking about whether there are needs in the community that that funding source can address. And I hope to be back next month with an update on what projects were funded and share photographs and the successes of this program. So I'll be back.
Heidi, just to get the creative juices flowing with folks, and between now and the next time you join us here, to just give folks some ideas as far as the types of projects they might be thinking about. Do you have a couple examples you could share of what sort of things have been funded in the past by this?
So we've had projects that have been just all over the place. And so some consistent themes we've had is we've had some playground improvements and park improvements in communities like Sealy and Target Range. We've funded roof repairs, for example, at the Evero Community Center, and then environmental projects. So we supported the Clearwater water sampling up in the lakes in the Swan Valley. So it's really, the projects are all over the place. We also support things like Symphony in the Schools. So the Missoula Symphony is going to outlying classrooms and working with orchestra and band students. So it really is almost anything is possible. And if you have an idea and you want to just run it past me, you can always reach out. And I'm sure my contact info is a part of the agenda, so people can always reach out and run ideas past me. Yeah.
Okay, thanks, Heidi. And if you could do us a favor, just drop into the chat, Heidi, your email address. That would probably make it pretty easy for folks to contact you.
For sure.
Okay, any questions from our small and intimate group tonight for Heidi about these programs. Chris.
Okay, can you hear me? Because last time my mic wouldn't work. Yay!
We got you.
Okay. The micro grants, the deadline for them is the end of the month every month.
Yes, ma'am. Yep.
Okay. I had another question and it just left my head. Darn it.
Okay. We
Thank
can
you.
come back to you.
All right, bye.
All right. Emily.
I just want to say thank you for continuing these community grants. I know that this means so much to so many different people who apply for them. And I know that like Bonner School Nurse had one last year just for, working on health issues with fourth graders and having those discussions around those changes. And I know that was really important for them. And I just know that the few people that that's touched has made a big difference. So thank you. That's all.
Thank you.
Great. Let's see here. Who else is out there? Kyla, could you help me with
Sure.
who else has?
Looks like Jane.
Okay, yeah, there we go. Jane?
Yes, I would like to know what your schedule is, Heidi, over the holidays because I want to contact you about some of the grants.
So I'm married to a mailman, so it is very busy this time of day or this time of year. So I'll actually be in the office all but the day after Christmas and the day after New Year's. So I'll be around.
Great, thank you.
So does that mean, Heidi, you will be in the office on Christmas Day and
Well,
New
no,
Year's Day?
I'll take
okay.
our holidays. I don't think.
Okay.
I hear
Very
the
good.
union doesn't like us to work on our days off.
Okay, very good. Other questions for Heidi? Chris,
Yes,
did it came back to you?
I remember.
Okay.
They're nonprofits that can apply for the micro grants. Can community councils apply, or does it have to be other groups?
Nope, community councils can apply. So one of our very first microgrant applications was from the West Valley Community Council, and they bought like a coffee urn and a coffee cart and a vacuum for their space that they meet in. So yeah, community councils are eligible. Nonprofits are, but individuals are too. So if there's like a group of citizens that wants to do a project together, you don't have to be like a formal organization, if that makes sense. So yeah, we have a really great project that we funded last month. That's just a group of people in Condon that are working on filling in some space for in kids' schedules because they have a 4-day school week and they're just a group of citizens. So anybody can apply, really.
Maximum flexibility.
Yeah.
That's what this is about. Any other questions for Heidi? Okay, well, you have your email address. If anything occurs to you after the fact or over the holidays, feel free to reach out to Heidi and look forward to partnering with some of you, perhaps.
Well, thank you. Enjoy
Okay,
your
thanks,
evening.
Heidi. You bet. All right, and the next topic, special district candidate filing. And just as a reminder, I think many, if not all of you, probably know this, but serving on community councils is an elected function. So if you are on a community council now or would like to be in the future, if you currently are not, these are elected positions. They're not meant to be appointed by the county commissioners. We have done so in the past as a stopgap, but that is not our ideal scenario. So Kyla, fill us in on what is kicking off here.
Sure. Thanks, Commissioner. So special district filing opens tomorrow, Thursday, December 12th. All of that filing goes through the elections office. So you have to file filling out a declaration and oath of candidacy form. The forms can be returned by the deadline, which the deadline to file is Monday, February 10th at 5 p.m. to the elections office, and that's in Building A at 140 North Russell Street, or it can be emailed to electioninfo@missoulacounty.us. Forms can also be picked up there in person at the elections office. The elections office can complete the notary or public official section of the form if requested. All candidates for office must be registered to vote and live within the district in which they are filing to serve. And you can check that on information on a website, myvoterpagemt.com. Don't worry, I'll be sending out all of these links at the end of the meeting or tomorrow in a follow-up. And then I'll give you again the information to call the elections office or email them. I will say that the elections office did email all of the council members and the chairs who have terms that are expiring in 2025. Usually they do that through a letter in the mail. This year they have done it via email. So if you haven't seen one, it's probably because your term isn't up, but you can connect with your chair. You can connect with me in our Lands and Communities office if you have any questions about whose term is up and who might need to refile. I would like all of the community councils to share this information at their next meeting, which probably for most of you is probably January at this point, just to make sure that your community members know too. And if you do know of a member who is not going to continue serving and there will be a vacancy, we'll want to make sure that we note that for the public, because anyone who is within those voter districts is eligible to apply. So that is my little bit of that. The commissioners did follow up and write a memo in regard to this candidate filing and vacancies. So the community council members will be getting that in the email, and then there'll be a hard copy sent to your PO box. So just so you know, that is on your way for communication to share in January as well. That is it.
Thanks, Kyla. And as many of us have experienced, I'm sure in the past, sometimes emails that we're expecting don't show up, but oftentimes where they are is in your junk mail folder or your spam folder. So if you're not seeing any messages, email messages about this topic, please check your junk mail folder, your spam folder. We are trying every means of communication short of knocking on your door personally to deliver these things to you, just to remind folks of candidate filing and the steps to take to get into office or to re-up for office. So any questions from anyone about candidate filing for community council rep? Okay. Reminders will be headed your way. So thank you, Kyla. And let's just roll right into our favorite phase of these meetings, and this is just the round robin discussion among council members, updating folks on what has been happening in your community council jurisdiction, and offering a chance for other community councils to ask questions about all the good things that each other are doing. So Kyla, if you want to walk us through those community councils who have representatives here this evening.
Sure. Why don't we go ahead and start with Bonner Milltown tonight?
Emily, do you have anything to say?
You can start. I'm good with that.
Okay, well, we haven't had speakers lately, so there's not a whole heck of a lot to say. But one thing that I have been talking to people about is one of the residents out in Piltsville has been complaining about the train noise. If you can hear the train going by my house right this minute, they blow their horns very, very loud. Anyway, we put out a survey monkey for Bonner Milltown, and 17 people immediately responded saying that they found the train noise difficult to put up with. So we were thinking about putting out a bigger survey say on Missoula County Voice and asking countywide whether people are having that trouble. In the city, they had addressed this problem at the end of Madison about 2 years ago. They paid $26,000 for a survey and then about $130,000 to put directional horns at every train crossing. Well, that train crossing. It's only been done a few places in the state, but perhaps that's something that could be done any place in the county where there is an issue. I would assume more likely to get it addressed if there are other places where this problem occurs. And I'm thinking out here, Tura and Milltown have the issue, but there are other places around that also have train crossings that are very close to residential areas. So I was wondering if individual councils could address the people in their area and find out if they got a problem. And then maybe we can do something about it.
Thanks for that. And just a little bit more information, and it certainly is within the purview of community councils to explore this option. Not every community council has a railroad running through it, so it would only be a subset of our community councils, but it's certainly something folks could survey their neighbors and constituents of your councils about. I spoke with the director of public works for the city of Missoula yesterday. There actually has been nothing implemented in the city of Missoula. What you mentioned, Jane, was simply studies that have been done in the past. They're looking at a cost of about $750,000 or $750,000 to address the crossings at Taylor Street and Madison Street in Missoula. And this would not create a quiet zone. It would create a directional horn system that would still have an audible sound that would alert motor vehiclists to oncoming trains. To create a full-blown quiet zone would take other infrastructure to make that happen. But just by way of order of magnitude and scale, even something as simple as seemingly simple as what we're talking about is going to be a number of hundreds of thousands of dollars for each crossing, which certainly can be done, and we would be happy to explore what that would look like for communities in the city of Missoula. That's likely going to be a special improvement district that would, and basically the residents of this area surrounding the two crossings you mentioned will be picking up the tab for that improvement. But the long and short of it is, yeah, feel free to continue to have conversations in either the Bonner Milltown area or other community councils bisected by railroad tracks, and we can take it from there.
Thanks, Dave.
I got on the Missoula County site, and under Engage Missoula, under Railroad Quiet Zone, it suggested that they had done something and that people were happy with it.
Yeah, there is none in Missoula County, so I don't know what they're referencing there, and I can verify because I live within 100 yards of the crossing, Jane, that you're mentioning, and there is no quiet zone through the city of Missoula right now.
Okay.
No,
Well,
I appreciate. Go ahead, Jane.
Oh, no, I was just going to say we need to look into it further.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah, and that's what I want to echo, Jane, is I was surprised with the overwhelming response in that survey. I mean, I exceeded my limit on. Sorry, I have children in the bathtub that want my attention, which I'm now ignoring. They're fine. So anyway, I appreciate that, I was surprised by the overwhelming response because I met my limit in SurveyMonkey. But I think it's something for us to continue to talk about. And yeah, the special district makes sense in a way to pick up the tab, but I think the community members need to hear that that's what it's going to cost to do something like that. Is that worth it to them, or is that just too much? But having all those options at the table, I think, is important for especially our community to be heard, since that was an overwhelming response to something we don't usually get a response from with a lot of surveys. So thank you. I appreciate it.
You
The
bet.
item number.
And one, oh,
Go
well,
ahead.
before we move on to a new topic, the one other thing I would say would be, as you are surveying or having conversations with community members about this topic of addressing locomotive train whistle noise at crossings, try to get a sense for what the radius is, and by that I mean how far away is it an issue for folks, because if it comes down to properties and property owners and residents thinking about pooling their resources to address the issue, my guess is that it's going to be the interest in addressing it may get less and less the farther away you get from the crossing, and that's only logical because the noise is not going to be as intense. But just getting some sense of is it a quarter mile, a half a mile away that still is bothersome to folks, that would be useful information.
Well,
That's
the focus on the county seems to be for residential, and there are so many residences that are right up against a railroad track. I'm thinking of Missoula, but even out, people have been living along the railroad track for many, many years, and more people are coming out. So I would assume that it's not like one or two living right next to the track. Out in Piltsville, the sound goes a long, long way. So probably all of Piltsville hears it.
Well,
Is
I mean,
that true
that
in
depends,
Tura?
Jane. I mean, I live like a half mile from it, and it doesn't bother me at all.
Yeah.
So yeah, so and that's what he's talking about, is like how close, because then that makes a big difference if you're going to make a special district and you really want that to pass. Is like a person like me, I don't want to fit the tax dollars to do that. I don't care. But the person
if you
down the street would.
Yeah, somebody across 210 from you probably hears it really well. So those are the people that we need to be talking to.
Yeah, absolutely. And I would suggest doing even something as old school as pulling out a map and just sketching out on the map, draw a circle around the area that you think is probably going to be the one that is the highest impacted area, and see what the results are there. And as in the case of Emily, as you get farther and farther away from the crossing, and that's what we're talking about, is the rail crossings where they blast their horns. It's not, and that's the federal requirement, is that they need to blast their horns or train whistles at the crossing, not just the general noise of a train lumbering by on the tracks.
Okay, well, thank you.
You bet.
We'll keep that up. The second point of topic that we continue to talk about is like just community development in general, about knowing what the community is. So we have a great opportunity with the new owner of the Bonner West Log Yard that wants to have a communication with the community. So I have it on my docket to contact him to set a date for the spring, and then bring the community together, because there's more than just him that probably wants to know about the community. There's other businesses in the area that want to know what the community thinks. So we're hopefully planning just a general meeting of just trying to find out what the community thinks they need, what kind of talks around that, so we can drive further discussions, like whether that be the quiet zone or other stuff, like, the other stuff that has, but it might generate some interest in getting people involved and making their voices heard. So that's our other thing we're working on for the spring, probably. That's it.
Thanks, Emily. Back to you, Kyla.
Okay, Clinton, Chris, or Bonnie?
Well, I'm supposed to start. First of all, I want to say Merry Christmas to everybody. It's coming up here real soon. So at our last meeting, we invited Josh Slotnick to speak on Missoula County property taxes to help our residents understand how they determined property taxes. Many of our people that attended had concerns and questions that Josh was able to address. There's a link that we'll put in our minutes, but anybody that's interested in learning about property taxes explained by Commissioner Slotnick, you can go to the Missoula County YouTube channel and look under Property Tax Explainer with Commissioner Slotnick. That's the title of it. It's dated about a year ago, but it kind of gives you the gist of what he explained to us, where the taxes are coming from, why the taxes are the prices that they are, to help you understand exactly what's going on in Missoula County. Then we also we also began to ask the community to help the Clinton Community Cereal Drive with the PTSA with donating cereal boxes for their annual food bank drive, where what they do is the kids gather all the boxes of cereal up and they make what's called a domino toppling event. And then once they've put all the boxes together and topple them, then afterwards they give them to the food bank, and this all takes place in May. So because she has a goal of 800 boxes of cereal this year, we thought we'd get started with letting everybody know to start donating so they can meet that goal. And then under council comment, I noticed that I had received a letter regarding water rights and water information, I'm not quite sure what all it was involved, but I know that a lot of people in this area regarding the rivers that we live next to, all received a letter regarding water rights. And what they were trying to do is determine the information that they had, if it's updated or not. Now, if you didn't receive an abstract, then you didn't have to worry about it. So I thought I would let people know that might have received that letter. If they got an abstract, then they need to contact the person on the letter so that they knew what to do. And if you didn't receive a abstract, you didn't have to worry about anything. So let's see. And I think that's about it. And I think Chris is going to address our survey that we had done in Clinton. Go ahead, Chris.
Thank you, Bonnie. Oops. I guess I didn't take my sticky note off that. Sorry. Yeah, so we did a community survey this summer and fall. And we're a new council, and we just wanted to get a feel for what folks were thinking out there, what they want to see for Clinton. It was very unscientific. We passed it out at various events. They were mainly hard copy. We had a Dropbox at the school. The school emailed folks on their email list. So I would be interested, maybe I can get with Emily and Jane to find out how they do SurveyMonkey, so I can get a little more high tech on that. We only had 21 respondents. At any rate, we're using the responses to help us make decisions on which speakers come to our meetings. And I'll just share with you the top 4 concerns. It was a very short survey. The first question we asked was, what were the 3 biggest concerns for the community? And the one getting the most votes was improving infrastructure, roads, sidewalks, walking paths. And the number 2 concern was property taxes, but that got the most votes as being people's number 1 concern. It got 13 votes, whereas infrastructure got 14, but more people said it was their number 1 concern. The number 3 response was providing public facilities. Our second question was, what improvements, if any, do you think are needed in the community? And the number 1 response, getting the most votes, was walking trails and PAPs. The number 2 response was availability of high-speed internet connections. That got 10 votes. The number 3 response was community center and parks and playgrounds. They tied for the number 3 concern, getting a community center going again and improving parks and playgrounds in the area. So that was what we got from them. And as I said, we're using this to figure out who we should bring to our meetings to give presentations. And we've already had Josh come out, as Bonnie said, to talk about taxes. And being the high-speed internet was a big vote getter, we had a rep from Blackfoot Telephone come out, and they talked about their plan and prioritization system for getting high-speed internet to the different areas that they serve. We hope to get more presenters who can speak to the top concerns at some of our future meetings too. And I was going to report that we don't have meetings in December, but at our January meeting, we will be discussing writing a letter to the commissioners to possibly pass on officially the results of our survey. And also in our January meeting, we were contacted by Adrian Hopkins, who's the Volunteer Services Coordinator Program Developer at Missoula Aging Services. And she wanted to come out to spread the word about their volunteer driver program service, because apparently they're expanding that service to the Clinton area starting on January 1. So we said, sure, come out and speak. So that's all I have.
Thanks, Chris. Commissioner Vero, did you have a question?
Yes. Chris, did folks say where they wanted trails, walking paths or trail improvements? Did they give specific locations?
Some did, like 1 or 2 did. Let's see. One specifically mentioned a walking trail through Swartz Creek to Rock Creek. Another one said connecting Rock Creek to Bonner, and one listing walking path from Tura to Clinton. That was the only specific mention of the trails. I know I've had a couple people come up to me. They didn't show in the survey, but a couple people have come up to me saying it would be nice to have a very simple walking path through Clinton itself on the side of the road that is with the school. So the kids that are walking to and from school have a better place to walk. But that didn't come out on the survey.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Chris. And yeah, we look forward to seeing the results of the survey. And like you mentioned earlier, if there's a chance you could tie in with the Bonner Milltown folks to see how they did their survey electronically, that might be an opportunity to add some additional information to what you've already gathered. Kyla.
Sure. I think we have Sue on from East Missoula. If you have anything to share on the phone, *6 to unmute.
Yes, thank you. Good evening, everyone. We had our December meeting last night, and in speaking of Adrian from Missoula Aging, she did come speak at our community council meeting last night about the expansion of their driver program, and we were all excited about that, because there are a number of people out here that don't have access even through Mountain Line, and the program isn't going to conflict with Mountain Line's paratransport either. So hopefully she left some flyers and whatnot, and I'm going to get them posted up around East Missoula to get people more excited about it. Otherwise, we also had Aaron and Ashley and Emily from the city come speak at the meeting last night about the 2045 land use planning map because East Missoula is included in that map. And most everybody is very confused as to why East Missoula was included in the city map. So it was very helpful to have them come out last night, and we actually ran an hour over our meeting time. So that was real helpful, and they were able to answer a lot of questions. It doesn't change some people's minds about we shouldn't be included in that map because we aren't annexed yet, but that was some of the questions that were being asked as well. And other than that, most of last night's meeting was taken up by the conversation with the city and then just some odds and ends. But right now, things are, I guess you could say, kind of quiet in East Missoula. And of course, then we'll be meeting again in January. So I just also want to wish everybody a Merry Christmas and Happy Holiday. And I'm not sure if anybody else from East Missoula is on tonight.
Thanks, Sue. Doesn't look like anyone else joined tonight from East Missoula.
Okay. It's
Okay.
a busy time of year with
Busy time of year indeed.
well, for school programs and that, so I understand. But thank you.
Thanks, Sue. I don't see anyone on from Lolo, Sealy, or Swan, so I will close it out with Tom Tucker at West Valley. Tom, do you have anything you'd like to share tonight?
Anyway, we've been kind of having a busy month so far. Last Friday, we had a community tree lighting program. Santa Claus showed up, hay rides for the kids, and it was a nice, beautiful evening with the exception of a slight chilly breeze out of the east. Tomorrow we have our West Valley meeting at the Frenchtown Fire Hall at 6 o'clock. And we're going to have Andrew Higmeyer come out and talk about the why, the TED, and TED 2. So we're going to cover transportation, wastewater, water, storm waste, and broadband. We've got a lot of broadband coming in out here in the Frenchtown area. Spectrum is putting in residential drops all over. We're kind of raising heck with the telephone services that are underground. So CenturyLink's just laying lines on top of the ground until spring so they can deal with that. Other than that, there's not too much going on other than we're just staying busy. So, and again, we want to wish everybody happy holidays and Merry Christmas, and be safe, stay warm. It's about all I have.
Thanks so much, Tom. All right, Commissioner, that rounds out the round robin. That's all for I have, as well as a happy holidays to you all as well.
Thanks, Kyla, for that. Anything that anyone missed and that you would like to hit on before we adjourn for tonight? Well, I will just chime in with the same sentiments that a few of you shared, including Kyla. We wish you the very best for holiday season. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. And Juanita, do you have anything you'd like to add as far as closing remarks? It does
Sorry,
not
I'm
look.
on my phone and couldn't find my unmute button, but no, nothing other than happy holidays, everyone, and echoing Tom Tucker's stay safe and warm. Thanks all.
Yeah, thanks everyone for your service on the community councils, and please do file for office if you're up for re-election. All right, we'll catch you next year.
Thanks, everyone.